This program is brought to you by the University of Florida. The first step in this treatment is an inspection of the room, deciding where to put the furniture so that the heat treatment can be accomplished. If the floor is either concrete, tile, or a carpet that doesn't offer a lot of insulation, you may need to insulate the floor before you start the heat treatment. The floor can be insulated by using a piece of carpet, some foam, or in this case here, a foam pad that can be assembled to make a floor. Once the floor is completed, you can then move the furniture on top of the insulated floor. After that, you will have to pile the furniture on top of the bed or arrange the furniture so that it's occupying a small area so that you can then build a box around it. As you move the furniture and pile it, you have to think about circulation of the hot air. It's always good to open the drawers and other compartments so that the heat can penetrate more easily into the furniture. You may want to remove items from drawers in order to facilitate the heat treatment. You have to be careful, of course, in piling the furniture so that you don't strain your back. And you have to think about the height of the box. Don't pile things too high. Make sure that your arrangement of the furniture is safe and secure so things won't start falling over. Make sure that everything is in place before you start building the box. You may want to check again if the drawers and other compartments are open and think about where you're going to be placing your thermometers. That is a very important part of the heat treatment, where the thermometers are placed. So think about it as you are building the box. Now that the furniture is in place, it's time to start building the box. We'll start by unfolding one of our foam boards and placing it at one of the sides of the box. We are using here 8x4 foam boards that are 2 inches thick. We have created a hinge in the middle of these boards so it's easier to transport them. Now that we have one board in place, it's time to bring the second one. The process is the same, and for now we are just going to place it without connecting the boards in any way. Now that we decide that the boards are in the right place, we can use pieces of tape to put them together. Now, we don't have to worry too much about making things completely secure. We just want them to stand up so that we can start building the other sides of the box. Just a few pieces of tape will do. Before we go any further, we have to think about where to put the thermometers so that we can monitor the temperature inside the box. Deciding where the thermometers will go is a very important step. You can use several types of temperature measuring devices. In our case, we are using indoor-outdoor thermometers. These are cheap and readily available at hardware stores. It's important to measure the temperature in places that will be hard to heat. This way, by the time the temperature is at the ideal point at these places, the whole box is well cooked. Because these temperature probes come with long cords, you'll be able to hide them inside the furniture and keep the display portion of it outside of the box. Again, placement of the thermometers is the most important part of this whole process. You will know when the heat treatment is done by looking at the temperatures that you're measuring at different points inside the box. You need to think where you're going to put the probes. This way, you will have a much better idea of how well you're treating the whole furniture. Good places to put the temperature probes are under pieces of furniture and between tight spaces where the temperatures will rise slowly with the heat treatment. After placing the probes, you can just leave the display portion of the temperature probes right on the furniture. We'll deal with them later. Now it's time to start bringing the heaters and the fans. As you place the heaters, you'll see that you'll probably need to make some adjustments in the placement of the furniture or the walls of the box. In this box, we will use 2 heaters, each one of them in opposite corners of the box. Just behind the heaters, we will place a box fan so that we can move the hot air away from the heater and throughout the furniture. The 2 opposite corners will receive the same treatment, a heater and a fan. You may want to place some additional fans on top of the furniture. This will increase the circulation of the hot air and decrease the time for the total treatment. All the cords for the equipment placed inside the box should be run under the walls so that you can plug them outside of the box. It's better to have some power strips so that you plug the fan and the heater and then plug that power strip into a long extension cord. You may want to start your heater and fans right now and set them at the maximum setting. Before we build the box, let's take a look at what we really want to do. We place the bed, bring 2 walls, put the heat and the fans at each corner so that we get maximum circulation. We'll then build the other 2 walls and close the box. Okay, it's time to bring the 3rd wall so that we start finishing the box. We'll place it and then we'll use some pieces of tape as we did before, just to make sure it's standing up and connecting to the rest of the assembly. Again, we're just going to put a few pieces of tape so that the wall stands up and as we built the whole box. Use masking tape to build your box. This way you'll have a good construction and it will be much easier to take it apart without damaging your boards. Note that the cords are going under the walls of the box. With the third wall in place, it's time to close the box on its sides. Now it's time to make some adjustments so that the box is away from the furniture in all corners, so you have the best circulation of the hot air. Again, we use some pieces of tape to keep the walls in place. It's time for the final adjustments and making sure the walls are standing up and in the right position. Check the corners and the bottoms so that everything is just perfect. Check your cords in the corners to make sure that everything is okay and there are no problems and no extra spaces where heat can escape. With all the walls in place, it's time to start checking the box. Note that the box was built so there is space around the whole box so that we can maneuver around it and get the best treatment possible. Before we close the box with the top, let's bring out the display portions of the temperature probes so that we can monitor the temperature from outside the box. It's time now to start closing the box. We are going to use two of the boards as the roof. We're going to use two boards to build the roof of the box. If you build the box correctly, the roof should be overlapping the walls about 1 inch. Now that you have the two boards in place, the box is complete. We'll have to start closing and sealing all the edges now. Make sure everything is okay. Now the temperature inside the box should be starting to rise a lot faster. Again, using just a few pieces of tape, let's secure the top of the box to the walls. Later, we'll come back and seal all the edges. As you go around the box, making sure the top is fixed, you are also observing to see if there is any problems in special places where you're gonna need some special sealing. Junction of the two boards on top of the box is something that will require your attention. It's easy to work in pairs and have a piece of tape going from one side of the box to the other, sealing that junction of the two boards. You may want to have a broom or some other instrument with a long handle so that you can seal the tape completely right in the middle of that box. Now that we have the roof on top, it's easy just to place the displays for the temperature probes right on top of the box. This way, you can easily monitor how the temperature is going inside. The last phase, now that the box is complete, is to seal all the edges and junctions in the box. Again, we're going to be using masking tape to do all of the finishing touches in this box. The reason for that is so that we use a cheap material that will not be damaging the boards when we disassemble the whole box. By sealing all the edges and junctions in the box, you contain the heat inside and you accomplish a complete treatment in shorter time. If we allow the heat treatment to reach the temperatures that are necessary to kill the bedbug adults and nymphs, the eggs will also be killed with this treatment. Another part that needs to be sealed is along the edges where the walls meet, but also where the walls meet the floor. Again, all this work is better done by two people working together. You see now why we delayed sealing all the edges until the end. As we are working here, the heat is already rising inside the box. So there's a lot of time for us to take our time and seal everything properly. The heat is already working. Now that our heat box is complete and we are sealing the edges, perhaps it's time to talk about how long the heat treatment will last. Heat treatments should not be timed. We should only turn off the heaters and end the treatment after the temperatures in all the probes we have placed inside the box reach the levels that we want. The temperatures we want to reach are around 113 to 115 degrees Fahrenheit minimum. In reality, we are much better off if we wait until all the probes show at least a temperature of 120 degrees Fahrenheit. With the probes placed right on top of the box, it's easy to see the temperature inside. The temperature of the air inside the box will rise very fast, but the temperature probes that are inside the furniture will show temperature rising very slowly, and we just have to wait. While the temperature is rising inside the box, it is time to do a residual treatment around the room. You should apply residual products to wall outlets and any other cracks and crevices where bed bugs can hide and survive. The heat treatment will eliminate any bed bugs that are inside the box, inside the furniture that you're treating, but it will not eliminate the bed bugs that are left around the room. Several products are available in the market for applications in cracks and crevices. Good residual products will provide control of bed bugs that are left in these locations. Depending on what is inside the box, how much heat is being generated by the heaters, and many other factors, the heat treatments may take from 2 to 6 hours. Plenty of time for residual applications to be made. After the residual treatments are done, there is nothing else to do but wait. Once the treatment is done, all we have to do is open up the box and return the furniture to the proper place. Before you disassemble the box, make sure that you turn off the heaters and the fans and everything else and start taking the tapes out. As you open the box, you start feeling the heat coming out. You may want to open some windows so that the heat escapes the room. As we look at the final steps here in this process, let's remember some of the important points. 1. Make sure your temperature probes are placed in locations where the heat will have difficulty getting to. Also, make sure that you have good containment of the heat and good circulation of the heat inside the box. Also, remember that this is not a timed treatment. The treatment will last as long as it takes for the temperature to reach the point that we want. We want to reach temperatures of 113 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit inside the box in all places where we place the probes.